Hello and welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets, a Muppet fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with 70 straight weeks of spotlights on our favorite Muppet characters, from the most popular to the most obscure. I am this week's host, Joe Hennes, and the Muppet of the Week is Camilla the Chicken, performed originally by Jerry Nelson and currently performed by Matt Vogel. Designed by Michael Frith and originally built by Carolee Wilcox and John Lovelady, making her world debut in 1978. Now, I want you to brace yourself because I'm about to say something extremely controversial. Are you sitting down? No? Well, it's too late because here it comes. Camilla the Chicken represents everything wrong with the Muppets. Okay, before you panic, yes, that was hyperbole. That's how we add human interest here in the podcast world. Or chicken interest, as it were. Camilla is great. Everyone loves Camilla, and you are here to listen to all the great things about Camilla. But the Muppets have a lot of problems, some of which are systemic, and they go all the way back to the earliest days. So many of those are so blatantly obvious when looked through the lens of Camilla the Chicken. First, let's explain who Camilla the Chicken is. First and foremost, she's a chicken. One of dozens of near-identical Gallus domesticus, that's Latin for chicken, picked out of the coop as Gonzo the Great's primary love interest. And, for the most part, that's about it. Okay, so we know three things about her. Camilla fact number 1, Camilla is female. Camilla fact number 2, Camilla's a chicken. And Camilla fact number 3, Camilla is romantically linked to Gonzo. Let's take these in order, starting with Camilla fact number 1, Camilla is female. If a casual Muppet fan were to list all the female Muppets in the world of The Muppet Show, they'd likely start with Miss Piggy and Janice, and then they'd remember that there's a chicken named Camilla. If they're big fans, they might recall Annie Sue Pig or Mildred Huckstetter or Hilda the Seamstress, but more likely the list ends there. My point is this. The mere fact that we feel obligated to list Camilla so high on this list is representative of the desperate lack of female Muppet characters. The gender parity is so off balance, we have to include a non-verbal background character as a primary example of a female Muppet. In The Muppets Take Manhattan, during Somebody's Getting Married, Kermit is surrounded by his best friends, Gonzo, Fozzie, and Scooter, as he gets his tuxedo. In the juxtaposed shot of Miss Piggy getting her dress, she's accompanied by the only female Muppets they could find, Janice and Camilla, neither of whom were ever positioned as Miss Piggy's friend. She's also there with Yolanda the Rat and Jill the Frog, neither of whom had even ever actually interacted with Miss Piggy before this. Camilla, by the sheer fact that she's a female character, has defaulted into this role as one of the main Muppet women. When people play that whole cast a movie with Muppets game, Camilla almost always makes the list because most movies have at least 3 female characters, and we gotta work with what we've got. Okay, I'm still not done with Camilla fact number 1. Camilla is female. As you may have heard me say at the top of this podcast, Camilla's original performer was the multifaceted Jerry Nelson. While not at all a rarity for the Muppet troupe, he is another male puppeteer performing a female character, a trend that we are all too familiar with thanks to Frank Oz's Miss Piggy, Richard Hunt's Janice, and even today with David Rudman's Miss Poogie. Although Jerry Nelson performed several key characters in the Muppet Show's pilot episodes, he was unable to appear in 8 early episodes of the first season of the show. While not confirmed, it's my educated guess that this contributed to the lack of a primary character for Jerry, who spent more time handling ancillary characters than developing his own Fozzie Bear or Scooter or Gonzo. That left Jerry with Floyd Pepper and Camilla, giving Camilla a much higher chance of being included with the main Muppet troupe, thanks to the mere fact that Jerry was one of the main 5 performers and always present. Add that to the fact that while there were female Muppet performers, such as Aaron Oscar and Louise Gold, they never got that opportunity to graduate into the boys' club of the main Muppet performers, leaving the majority of female characters to be played by men. Think back to the Muppet movie. As Kermit the Frog traveled across the country, he picked up strays and slowly built up his Muppet troupe. Jim Henson played double duty with Kermit the Frog and Rolf. Frank Oz had Fozzie Bear and Miss Piggy. Dave Goelz had Gonzo, and then there's Jerry, with the silent Camilla sitting in the back seat, just barely seen in the corner, staring out the window and wondering if she'll get to do or say anything before the movie is over.
Bark, 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 bark. Bark, 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 bark. Bark, 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 bark.
Okay, let's move on to Camilla fact number 2. Camilla is a chicken. The first Muppet chicken appeared in the 1972 special, The Muppet Musicians of Bremen. Despite the fact that these chickens could speak as plainly as any other Muppet animal like Rolf the dog or Dr. Strangepork or Emily Bear, the decision was made somewhere down the line that chickens can only cluck and bawk bagawk by the time they debuted on The Muppet Show. Strangely, chickens are among the only species on The Muppet Show that consistently act more like their real-world counterparts than some sort of humanoid hybrid. Because of this, they don't get storylines, they rarely get to tell jokes, and they most certainly don't get character development. For Camilla, this makes her an incredibly difficult character to get a handle on. She looks just like any other Muppet chicken, and she speaks like them too, and she can't even say anything memorable. The cards are most definitely stacked against her if any writer ever wanted to evolve her into a three-dimensional character, leaving her as an exaggerated prop. Normally, it wouldn't be an issue for a Muppet to be assigned a specific species, but for the third most familiar female Muppet to be a chicken who can't really speak puts her at an immense disadvantage, and is a terrible example for anyone looking for a strong or interesting female character to identify with in the Muppet canon.
You're prettier by far than Godzilla. Camilla.
Camilla fact number 3. Camilla is romantically linked to Gonzo. This is the big one, and probably the singular thing anyone knows about Camilla that can't be deduced from just looking at her. First of all, no one should be defined by who they're dating. We're all our own people, and more than just arm candy for whoever we happen to be standing next to at the moment. It does Camilla a disservice to boil her down to just Gonzo's date, and being seen as such could be borderline emotional abuse, making sure she's kept silent and in her place and forever attached to the one who's seemingly in charge. And it's not like Gonzo's even a good boyfriend. The abuse continues through so many stories, we don't have time to get to them all on this podcast. There's that narrative that Gonzo doesn't know which chicken is Camilla since they all look alike, so he just calls the one closest to him Camilla. Oof. There's that scene in the Muppet movie where Gonzo tries to invite himself on an intimate dinner for two with Miss Piggy right in front of Camilla's beak, only to cuddle up with her again after being rejected. Not cool, man. And don't even get me started on the Leslie Uggams episode of The Muppet Show when Gonzo openly flirts with Big Bird, despite being romantically involved with Camilla at the time. Well, that's just illegal, Gonzo. Now, this would all be well and good, well, not the Big Bird thing, but if Camilla was okay with Gonzo's wandering eye. Consent is key. But as we saw in the Lola Falana episode of The Muppet Show, Gonzo flirts with the guest star, and Camilla shows a rare sign of character development, singing or clucking, "I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair," while angrily pecking at and ripping up a signed photo of her former lover. Gonzo, for all his assets that would make for a quality human being, or whatever he is a terrible boyfriend. Camilla not only gets walked all over and treated like dirt, but she always finds her way back to his side, promoting negative portrayals of female characters and non-traditional relationships with no acknowledgement to the audience that it's anything but healthy. And that's pretty much all there is to Camilla the Chicken. She's a poor representation of a female character, which only serves to highlight the lack of gender diversity within the Muppets. Her prominence as a Muppet chicken limits her potential for character development, and her toxic relationship with Gonzo is positively cringeworthy. There's a lot to love about the Muppets, and very few things to dislike, but Camilla the Chicken represents everything terrible about the Muppets.
70 Years, 70 Muppets is a Muppet Fan podcast
presented by Topics.com.
Okay. Maybe that was a little bit cruel to Kentucky Fried Camilla in that way. All of you Camilla fans can put your pitchforks down. This podcast is supposed to be celebrating the Muppets, not ripping them a new one. So, with that spirit in mind, let's talk about some of my favorite Camilla moments that prove that she's more than just a lady chicken with an insensitive boyfriend. Since there's no way to know if a flock of chickens contains Camilla or not, my first picks, and probably my favorites, are those very short musical moments from The Muppet Show of the chickens playing the piano, or there's one where they're playing the chimes. There's not much of a joke to them, although a chicken does get clocked in the head in the chimes one. It's just fun to see the chickens peck away at the piano keys and make a little music. It's subtle humor, yet delightfully hilarious. Although I wanted to avoid moments that rely on Camilla's relationship with Gonzo, I felt like I needed to include one of her scenes in the Leslie Uggams episode of The Muppet Show. Yes, it's the one where Gonzo flirts with Big Bird, but Camilla shines when Gonzo brings her a bouquet of flowers, activating her hay fever, causing her to sneeze so hard she gets flung around the room. It's a rare moment when Camilla gets to outshine Gonzo, who's playing the rare straight man, even if she has to throw herself against the walls to make it happen. In The Muppets Take Manhattan, Martin Price, as played by Dabney Coleman, tries to swindle the Muppets, and when he's confronted by the police, he grabs Camilla to use as a hostage. But what happens next is incredible, as she turns herself from victim to attacker, teaming up with Animal to wreak revenge on Price, clamping her beak down on his ear and delivering him to justice. What a queen. In 2008, the Muppets began creating memorable viral videos on YouTube. One of the originals was Classical Chickens, featuring Gonzo conducting a chicken orchestra clucking the Blue Danube Waltz that's so good, one of the chickens even laid an egg. A year later, they were among the first characters seen in the insanely popular Bohemian Rhapsody video. The chickens are surrounding Gonzo like an aura and adding that poultry gravitas to kick the whole thing off. In the 2011 movie The Muppets, Camilla takes center stage one more time to headline a group of chickens in a cover of CeeLo Green's Forget You. Yes, I know that's not the actual title of the song. The real title features a word we'd have to bleep on this podcast, which means it's a definite no-no for the Muppets. So, in a clever bit of censorship commentary, the song is performed in all incoherent clucks, thus subverting the question of whether the chickens are singing Forget You or, well, fuck you. Camilla is female. Camilla is a chicken. Camilla is romantically linked to Gonzo. Camilla is these three things and not much more. But it's a testament to the writers and performers behind the Muppets who helped take a background chicken and bring her into the fold as a primary character who has the potential to grow beyond her reputation.
70 Years, 70 Muppets is a Muppet Fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com, hosted by a whole myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Jared Fairclough. The Muppets 70 logo used with permission by the Muppet Studio with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reich Snyder and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow ToughPigs.com on all social media platforms. You can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or buying a t-shirt at tpublic.com/toughpigs.